Years ago, you could go, you could pay some money and.
Oh, that was called an indulgence.
Indulgence, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Who came up with that?
Well, that was the one with the empty pockets. the one that was trying to build the St. Peter's Basilica and needed a way to raise funds.
Yeah.
And that was the way to do it.
So who has the money? Not all the
And
paupers.
people gladly followed that stuff. At one time, the Roman Catholic.
Well, they were all deceived. They were all under the.
Fear was the index.
Yeah, so you're right.
If I didn't think that I was going to get into heaven unless I paid that indulgence.
And not having the Bible in your hand to read it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Truth will set you free.
Translating the Bible into English. Well, that would be
Tyndale.
Did you know that they, after he had been dead, buried, they dug up his bones
And then burned him.
No, they burned him right up.
Well, they did, but then later they dug up his corpse and burned him again.
Because I read a book that does a study on him, and they strangled him, so he was dead, and then they burned his body at the stake publicly.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that he was put up again.
They were.
I mean, you think about doing that to a human being. Who is that person you're thinking? Like, what did he do that is deserving?
I mean,
of that?
what's the message there? I mean, look at it. Once someone's dead, they're dead, right? So you can't bring any more harm or torture to them, or they're dead. But they hated this guy so much.
But isn't the same thing on the other side of that coin? Having Lenin's tomb, sitting in the public square to look at his body, whatever. Basically they're doing the same thing, the opposite direction. They're exalting something.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It's like it's a public statement. I'm trying to make a statement that we need to, get in line with our thinking, or we may suffer the consequences.
See, this is why the Lord warned us way ahead of time. These people that don't marvel not if the world hates you. The world is going to hate you. They said they hated me first. That's right. They hated me first. That's right. But He warned us about all that stuff. But that's what happened.
They say that
we won't be wondering why they don't like us.
They say that the King James version of the Bible is 84% attributable to Tyndale, and 76% of the Old Testament directly attributable to his translation. So the impact that he has had in where we are today, is incredible. I wrote a blog about it entitled Unsung Heroes.
I don't think a lot of people know his story, do they? I know I read it in Fox's Book of Martyrs years ago, but I don't think a lot of people,
No.
The general church goer doesn't know.
No, I think he's an unsung hero. Yeah, you've heard the name, and you give him some credit for having translated into English, but do you really understand exactly what he did? He lived under the radar for the 12 years that he was translating, and knowing that everybody was after him to kill him. And he did it anyway because he recognized this was the highest call on his life, and he was willing to suffer the consequences. He didn't allow anybody to paint a picture of him and take him, because he didn't want his image out there so that the general public could recognize him, so he could remain, under the radar.
Not all those things that happen that are happening now, part of Jesus' promise that gates of hell will not prevail against the church. That's right, ultimately. So, not for lack of trying.
He did something.
It will not prevail.
He did something that Wycliffe didn't do. Wycliffe translated from the Latin Vulgate, which were the Latin. So it's a translation of a translation. Right? Whereas Tyndale became an expert in Greek and Hebrew. So he was translating right from the original manuscripts. So his versions are much more accurate. Because otherwise you rely on Jerome's translation, to be right and wrong. If his was wrong, then yours was going to be wrong too.
Yeah.
How We Got Our Bible is a great little book by Griffith. His name is Griffith, John Griffith III or something like that. But How We Got Our Bible is a little paperback book. It's really, really excellent study. Easy to read book. How the manuscripts came into being. How that we have what we have in our hand right now is only a short leap away from what the original manuscripts.
If you read one of the books that we were assigned in the Intro to Theology class in Bible College was Halley's Bible Handbook.
Oh,
and if you read Halley's, it's got an excellent chapter.
Yeah.
Has an excellent chapter on
good.
the canonization
Yes.
process and how it happened.
Right.
And it was over like a 300-year period of time that this thing took place. And it was confirmed over and over again by the Christian churches, which ones were acceptable and which ones were not. So
Yeah.
when the list was finally published by Eusebius,
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it.
I like that. It's well done.
It's interesting that as much as we know at this table, the real question is how is it that we can and what, if we go back and this is 300 years ago, the mindset was that whether they were deists or not, the conscious reality that there is a supreme being. It's like the reality that we would inevitably, on some level, be accountable.
Yeah, there was a sense of divine providence that God was in the midst of things, and to acknowledge that the role of God.
So we were saying how that even if this that we know about the origin of the Bible and the authenticity, people today they have it, but they don't need it to be. I think that indictment kind of falls upon leadership, pastoralship, because we've got the gospel message, the gospels that are the message that is being communicated from, an authoritative platform, religion or otherwise. Where is that voice? Where is the voice that makes the declaration, like you said earlier, that the idea that America is the example of the fruit of Christianity, and say, well, if you in fact live this way, you will prosper, you will have good health, you will have infrastructure, you will have a judicial system, you will have all of these things. And in the context of the reality of history of the church is that most of the time it's been persecuted, it's been driven underground. We don't experience that here, not yet. And we've said that for as long as we've been saved, just about.
But that's going to change.
Well, it's going to change, and the question is, have we been taught sufficiently to embrace that change, or do we now think that there's something wrong with God? And see, this sets the stage for the great falling away.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, absolutely. I've thought about that myself many times. That there's a sea of very shallow Christians. And there's a lot of people who, if you were to ask them, just to go out and poll people, are you a Christian? They would say, oh yeah, sure. Okay, what do you base that declaration? Well, I used to go to Bible, or I used to go to Sunday school. Maybe my grandpa or my grandma took me to church a few times, and I said a prayer. Okay, do you actively go to church now? Nah, not really. Do you have an active belief in Christ? Well, I run into them. I run into them all the time.
It's really not.
Exactly. They have a type of ability.
James 2:19, even the demons believe.
Exactly.
Shudder.
But they don't have any depth or any real commitment.
Well, they don't have any confidence in, I mean, you're putting your trust in. You're not just acknowledging the existence of it. Real faith, the word pistis, it means I know I am trusting in something beyond me.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not just their work or their intellect or their whatever that's going to get them down the road. They have an active faith that Christ is with them, and where they don't. And so a lot of these people, as you're saying, Pastor, a lot of these folks like that, you know, if somebody were to come up to them and say, okay, all right, are you a Christian? If you are, well, then you're going to have to go over here. If you're not, then you're going to keep living your life. Okay, well, that's going to be a bridge too far for a lot of people. You know, it's only with a firm knowledge that this life is just a precursor to eternity. That we have the strength to do whatever we need to do to stand up for Christ.
Let me ask you a question. That's really good. So, at what age did you get?
Oh, when I was young. When I was young, I made a commitment, but it was, I'm not going to say a contrived commitment, but it was, you know, I was encouraged. I grew up in a Christian family, and I was encouraged. You know, questioned. You know, do you want to accept Christ? Do you want to be a believer? You know, of course.
You had that confrontation for a decision.
Yes.
That's right. But you know what you're saying is, so our generation, boomers, okay, we grew up in that kind of the attitude of an agnostic was prevalent. Well, you can know something, but you can't really have assurance. But atheism was kind of like on the back burner. Did not have a public platform, or was even like accepted as a bona fide position. It was kind of like marginalized. Right? Tables have been turned. And this is the interesting thing. So we talk about these matters because we have a background, we had a context. I grew up in a Christian home. General environment was, there was a consciousness of higher power, whatever you want to say about it. The fact that it comes down to where I had to be brought to the place of a decision based upon truth, not based upon my culture,
And not just peer pressure.
that's true too. I mean, in one way you go along with the crowd. When we were in West Africa, everybody was a Christian who was not a Muslim. You know, we asked them, are you a Christian? And they said, absolutely, yes. And we're thinking like, man, everybody around here saying it. And then a week later, we come to find out that it was like, that was the premise. Is that they were negating that they were Muslim. And socially, that was important because it was just two camps, and we were one or the other.
Right.
And so for us in America, the decision, and I like what you were saying about the fact that, you know, if you want to continue this particular lifestyle, these particular options, this particular level of comfort and prosperity, you can. But you are willing to say that you are a disciple or you're a believer in the Word of God. You've made a decision. And you got to go. We want to identify you because we're going to do something with you. That's right.
That's exactly right.
These are exciting times.
Yeah, look, you were saying that, someone was saying that tables could be turned any time. When you think of, just picture how much Israel and Joseph were blessed in Egypt. Joseph was high up. He was like second to Pharaoh. something like that.
Number
Yeah.
two man, number 2 man in the country.
And all of a sudden, overnight, no, that Pharaoh died. Another Pharaoh comes and says, "Who's this Joseph? Who's this guy?" Overnight, they went from being flexed to 430 years of slavery and bondage, literally overnight. Wow. But it ended good, though, didn't it? It always ends good. The Red Sea. So it ended good because the Red Sea was like they got saved, they got delivered, and the enemy, and simultaneously the enemy gets destroyed at the same time. That's
Made
the cross.
God's plan
The cross
is so
I wrote a blog about entitled "From Pentecost to Pentecost." From Pentecost to Pentecost. Pentecost, the first one was the delivering of the law on Mount Sinai. When you look at what took place in Genesis chapter 46, Jacob is told to go to Egypt, and it says that the nation of Israel began with 70 people. 70 people. And and it was Joseph and his family, and his dad, and all brothers and all of that stuff. There were 70 it started with, and it grew to like 2 or 3 million by the time Moses leads them through the Red Sea. The same thing is true in Luke chapter 10, that there were 70 people. The church started with 70 people in Luke chapter 10. So even before Pentecost, the 70 people got saved. Not an accident. That 70 people, in both cases, 70 people. That number 70 obviously has biblical meaning. But it's when you
70 times 7.
well,
That didn't even
you 70
speak
weeks of Daniel
70
and all
times
that.
7. Yeah, it's 7. It's amazing. It really is. God is one.
70 years in captivity.
Today I have to pull an engine apart today. I can't go with you.
Oh, is that right?
I'm so sorry.
You gotta pull yourself. I mean, no.
We're taking an engine apart. We're changing out some turbine blades out of
Okay,
an
so
area
I
one
gotta
day.
get some definition.
Oh, for a Christmas carol. Let's do it the Saturday before Christmas.
Where is that where we're gonna go? Daniels?
Is that where we're going to go? That would be nice. Yeah, Mary the Flame wants to come. She's a songbird.
Okay, we just need to know what we're going to do.
Okay, let's do. Where did you go? Where did we go last year? Yeah, that neighborhood up the street from the fountains, right? That we've been there twice.
Yeah, around the
already.
corner there. Yeah.
You go down the corner, you go up the hill, and there's that neighborhood on the right, off of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll touch base with him.
Holy Rock.
Because he'll head up a
Oh.
Daniel will head up
Okay.
get a date, and then you know what? We should let some folks in Baltimore. There's like
Yeah,
put up a
yeah.
big list.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to
Christmas
staying there.
Carol.
Yeah.
They'll have a schedule.
Yeah.
And
But the 18th seems like a good day. Christmas is on a Saturday, but that doesn't affect. But we're not going to have a Christmas Eve service, right? It's the 7th, because that doesn't
make
really.
it Friday night, right?
That would make it Friday night. Hasn't been very successful.
We have something online. We'll do something. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
But we'll have a
yeah.
regular service after Christmas.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you nail it with Daniel as far as
Okay.
where, now that you got the win.
Okay.
And
I meant to mention that to him Thursday night at the Rap at his house, and I forgot. Tomorrow, I'll call him. He's doing the breakfast wrap tomorrow. So I'll talk about it. Sounds good. Christmas.
we were thinking about how to reach the unreached. No, you go through a neighborhood and you see all the decorations, Christmas lights, and reindeer, and whatever else they can put up. And frosting, blowing up frosting. Anyway, you go through the neighborhood, and by the way, up where we're going, Christmas caroling, a lot, they do a lot of caroling. They got a lot of discretionary income to spend on all those kinds of things. Anyway, we could go to any one of those houses, and we have a little card, and we just say, wow, we are impressed with your Christmas decorations. So we stop by to say, how amazing they are. Make an appeal to their eBay.
Butter them up.
Which is a soul sin nature. Fully up. It's like that, right? People want you, they see it every day. They want you to see it and you to say, And then, just so you know who we are, here's a little way to contact us. Or if we wanted to take it at the next level, we could say, you have won our award, for the best Christmas lights in the neighborhood.
You better hope they don't talk to their other neighbors. Hey, you said I won, huh?
Yeah, right.
I'll win.
Fair.
There's a DVD called The Star of Bethlehem. It's a lawyer was asked by his daughter to set up some kind of a thing in the yard, and so she wanted to do the Star of Bethlehem. And so he's not sure how, he wasn't sure how to do that, so he started doing some research. He's a believer and regular church member and all of that, but really had no understanding of what it was all about. Well, he got sucked into this really intense study to the point where he looked at it astrologically, where that came from, and he came to a conclusion. And it's very well done. And he came to the conclusion that it was the coming together of three different planets from the same day, and it happened to be on the day that it happened was December 25th. December 25th was when the shepherds saw that
sight in the sky. Yeah.
The star.
Yeah.
They saw the star, and it was he proved it astrologically, and it happened on December 25th, which was really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And he took it a step further. He started looking at the cross. And he came to the conclusion that based upon all the events that are accounted for in the Gospels, for when Passover was and all of that, in light of the happening of the Friday. So how he came to the conclusion April 4th of 33 AD, according to the astrological study that he did, it was April 4th. 33 AD. Now, it's really interesting. If you get a chance to pick it up, you can pick it up on the internet.
What's it called again?
The Star of Bethlehem.
The Star of Bethlehem by the
I forget the guy. He was Lawson. I forget what
Okay.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah.
But if you were to read it, read the commentary on it, they would tell you this guy was was just investigating his daughter,
Right.
and wanted to do this. Hey there.
Good morning, Tom. How you doing? Good. Nice to see you again.
It's Aaron.
Yeah, we met 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Good one.
Tom, you see it?
I wanted to tell you before we forgot about it. You were talking about Egypt and Joseph and the Exodus and everything. If you have a chance to watch a documentary that's called Patterns of Evidence, you have got to watch it. It's a documentary that was put together by a man who is a filmmaker, and he wanted to convey the truth of what happened in a very factually based expose, if you want to call it that, of what happened to the Israelites in Egypt and through the Exodus. It's really a tremendous. It was. We watched it. I'm trying to remember how we watched it. We watched it. If you look online, if you look at Patterns of Evidence, you'll see it. And he has like several different video products that are out there. But what it does is it looks at, there's a lot of controversy about when the Exodus happened, and there's all these Bible scholars. Some of them are saying, or some people are saying, no, it couldn't have happened. It had to have happened during this, like the Ramses dynasty. Miracle. Yeah, that's one of them. But so there's all these stories about, well, if it happened here, then that would make this not possible, and so on and so forth. But he looks at all the facts, all the proof, and he lays it out very scientifically, and in a way that's very easy to understand. And when you look at it, you go, he lays it out. I mean, and he goes down every rabbit hole. It's really awesome. Just a real faith.
I understand they're from chariot wheels in the ocean.
And I think that's part of what he talks so well.
There's also.
Norm, hi Norm. You guys want to sit in my Yeah, move up, because that way, whatever you discuss,
Ian and Norm,
has
my
credence.
friends. How many years now? 40 years. Met them 40 years ago, Bible college students.
Oh, really?
When they came to Lennox, they were a couple of different Bible college students.
Lennox, Mass.
And I was the
Western Massachusetts.
I was the
You
moderator.
ever heard of Tanglewood?
I've heard of it, but I don't really.
That's where Lennox is where Tanglewood is.
I was the moderator of the night class. I would start the video. Would begin by a song. A couple of songs.
Right.
Act. Bible college. Act.
Yeah.
And they were. I remember them coming in from Ohio. It was. Couple of years. Army jackets.
They were. I think they were in Pittsburgh trying to.
Oh, it's Pittsburgh.
But they're from here. They're from Baltimore.
Oh, yeah. This is their
But one of the things I saw a video on the archaeological issues around there, and you're still on each side of the Red Sea. Solomon built a monument for where they marked it.
I didn't know that.
And the monument is very clear on one side. On the other side, it's still there, but it's kind of taken down to
Ground level.
But it's still, you can still see it. It's still obvious. So it's like and when you look in the water, you will see different. You don't see the wood. The wood's already been it's been rotted. But you have all the metal associated with the wheels and the chariots and that kind of thing. There's a number of them still in the water. Right in that spot where it crossed.
Which is, see, it's things like that when people say, "Oh, there's no proof for anything," right? Well, that's not true. That's not true. God gives us evidence in our heart that we recognize His creation. But aside from that, proof that we all have self-evident evidence. there's the proof of things like that.
There's never been one thing found. There's never been one thing found.
Physical proof. Oh, well, you know that.
Well, I think
Inside, they don't want it. They don't want it.
My hat's broken.
And that's all
It's
it
broke.
comes down to.
I didn't know that part, the visor could break. And it's like broken. See how it's supposed to be like nice and curved like yours?
Yeah,
And it goes like that. And like,
yeah, you have some experience with composite sheet metal. Just a little double shot.
maybe saw it. I need to do a construction. Yeah, but see, does yours open up like that? Does it have the button? See, I got the button. So I can wear it like that too.
But now you look like a rusty. You need a gold star on the top of it.
Would you buy a used car from this guy?
I also had a tooth removed the other day too, so I'm a little swollen.
One of your back ones, or your front?
Over here.
Oh, up on top, yeah.
A bone, so you gotta get an implant.
You're gonna get an implant? I was actually, I just had that conversation not too long ago with my dentist, and she said to me, she said, those things, they're not all they're cracked up to be. She said, think hard about, or, you know,
What's not cracked up?
these implants.
Oh.
Yeah, and the reason she said, this was her reasoning. Her reasoning was, she said that they don't give, you know, like your teeth will, you know, just when you compress.
Because it's so hard.
Yeah, she said that somehow they if they're not lined up perfectly or something like that, that you know, it can end up being a problem. I don't fully understand all of the different angles of what she was talking about, but apparently there's some room for improvement there in that design. That's what I got.
I'm getting pretty old now. Maybe I don't even need it.
You know, the way I look at it is if we're raptured here in the next while, what does it really matter?
No, when's the wrap?
I don't know. I left my notes.
Can you pray that it happens?
So you defer to a higher authority. Kind of like Hebrew nationals.
You could just check out YouTube and you'll have this opinion that this guy says this date. This guy says
So you got a full part engine.
Yeah, we took the engine out yesterday, and I got a guy coming with all his tools.
You doing a hot end or you splitting the piece?
It's actually an aerial of 5 modules.
Where's the compressor? We got a fridge.
Compressor, section.
Yeah.
So then it's got a